Now I'm gonna give it a full wide open throttle in sport mode so we can see how fast this goes. So get ready, here we go. So Jesus, so yeah, I mean it actually gets faster as you go 60, right? So it actually gets faster the more you get into it. And welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today we have the 2024 Acura ZDX Type S, and I'm going to give you all the details on this all-new electric SUV. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after, or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. All right, guys, here we are with the exterior of the 2024 Acura ZDX Type S. Let us know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think of the design language of this new all-electric SUV from Acura? This one we have here is, like I said, it's the Type S. So let's talk about what's available for ZDX. So there's basically kind of four trims, actually, if you want to start at the bottom. So there's an A-spec single motor configuration that's rear-wheel drive. That starts at $64,500 MSRP. Or you can go to a full dual motor setup, adding another electric motor to the front. That's an extra $4,000 at $68,500. Or you can step all the way up to this, the ZDX Type S. Now this one is $73,500. And you can actually get a high performance wheel and tire package for an extra grand to make it $74,500. Now, the good thing is like a lot of electric vehicles these days, there is a $7,500 tax credit that can be applied to the purchase price of the vehicle. So essentially this car here, that's $73,500. After that tax credit, it would actually be $66,000. So given that and all the features and technology we're going to talk about, I think that's actually pretty good. But let us know your guys' comments down below. This particular model we're looking at here is in an all-new color called Double Apex Blue Pearl. It first came out a few years ago. Acura showed it on a couple different concepts, and now it's finally here in production. I love the color. I think it looks really good. Let's start up front though and talk about some of the design details. Now, with this being an all-electric SUV, first and foremost, there's the hood, if that's what you want to call it. But no, there is no space below it. There is no frunk. We'll open it up during the powertrain section just so you can see what it looks like under there. But like as we get to the front, it still has that kind of signature Acura design language, those very like sharp creases in the hoods, you know, that kind of sharp character line that carries down front to the grille. Now, technically it's not a grille because it's all closed off, but Acura kept the same kind of like shape as their other models. They call it the Diamond Pentagon Grille. And if you get really close, you'll see the Acura logo. You'll also see a camera below that. That's for the 360 surround view camera. We'll talk more about that. But if you get really close, you can see that they like have this surfacing in there that mimics the diamond pattern of the other Acura grills. So I think that's a really nice touch. And you'll also see like this surround of the grill. And what that is it's now illuminated. So it actually lights up. Looks pretty sweet at night, and that's in conjunction with the chicane daytime running lamps that are kind of a signature Acura design language. And then you have the jewel eye LED headlights down below. And if you look really closely, you can see it even says Acura there in the headlights. So that's a pretty sweet design feature. Now, down below, again, you have some functional vents. You have parking sensors on this particular Type S trim. There's actually 6 of them. And we'll talk about why that exists later. But if you look down below, you'll see a place where they have like the adaptive cruise radar. And then it actually has these kind of functional grills that can open and close to help efficiency there. So that's a pretty sweet feature. One of the other things is all of the ZDXs come with this kind of lower cladding that's in this silver. So let us know your guys' thoughts down below. Kind of breaks up the color, creates this almost two-tone effect to the vehicle. Specifically for Type S though, you'll see that roof line. On Type S, that's always going to be black. Now on the 2 A-spec trims, that's actually going to be body color. So, It doesn't matter what exterior color you get on Type S, that roof is always going to be black. But I think, again, with this double apex blue pearl, kind of breaks things up and looks pretty sweet. So let us know your guys' thoughts down below. Let's jump right into the wheel and tire package here. These are the largest wheels and tires that Acura's ever put on a car. They're 22 inches in size, and they're with meaty 275 width tires. And behind them, you can see some massive brakes. They're over 15 inches for the rotors, and those are 6-piston Brembo brakes, painted in yellow. So that's you know, I actually like that. A lot of manufacturers paint their calipers red. Most of Acura's Type S models are red, so kind of like that they went with the new color there. Looks pretty sweet. Here we have the Type S badging, and that's actually the charge port. So here, we'll just show you. Go ahead and open it up. It's pretty much a push. There's no mechanical function to it. So I like that. Sometimes when it's a mechanical or motorized door, it just takes more time to open, and you know, always worry about that stuff breaking long term. But there you can see it has the CCS charge port. And then here you can see, if you pull that out, you'll need that if you want to do DC fast charging. So obviously there's a lot of talk about the Tesla plug, the NACS, in the right way, NACS, you know, charging infrastructure. And yes, Acura has said eventually they will change the port, haven't said when. And they also said that eventually there will be an adapter that goes from CCS to NACS. But we'll talk about a little bit more of the electrification part of this vehicle in the powertrain section. So we'll continue on the side. It does have power folding mirrors with LED turn signals. They're always black on this trim, which looks really good. You can also see the camera there under the mirror. That's for the 360 camera that I was talking about up front. There's roof rails that are gloss black on Type S. I think those look really good. And you have like traditional door handles, nothing too fancy, nothing that pops out. There is these little kind of chrome buttons on all the door handles. That's how you actually lock and unlock the vehicle. So you kind of push those in to do that. And then here in the rear, again, you'll see that same, it's a square setup. So these massive 22-inch wheels, 275 tires. And, you know, you do get a smaller rotor and caliper package back here, but the caliper is painted yellow. So again, that matches the front. I think that looks really good. And now we make our way to the rear of the vehicle. So here we go. You'll see there's a lot of badging back here, but it's kind of consistent. So yeah, the Acura badging, of course, in black. Have the Type S badging off to the left here. Kind of zoom in there. And then these awesome LED taillights. So they kind of have the same design motif as like MDX. In fact, it's very, very close. But those look really good, and they're full LED. They look really awesome at night. Give this really cool like design signature. And then we'll go on this side. So on this side, you can see it's got the ZDX badging. It's got this little E: badge next to it. You know, Acura has said that kind of signifies their electrified vehicles. And then down below, you'll see it also has an all-wheel drive badging. So it's not being called out as super handling all-wheel drive because it's the electric powertrain here. So you still get the 6 parking sensors in the back as well. All of the Type S's come with that lower black trim and that silver trim that kind of wrap around from the side. There's the rear view camera here, just kind of like where the license plate would be. But there's also another camera up here, and we'll talk about what that does once we hop inside. So there you guys have it. That's the exterior design of the ZDX Type S. Let us know again what you guys think of it. And I think with that, now we can go ahead and hop inside to talk about the interior. All right, guys, here we are inside the Acura ZDX Type S. And it's a really nice place to be. There's a lot of good materials in here. And again, we all know that this car was co-developed with General Motors. So there are some, you know, buttons and switchgear borrowed from there. But I think overall, the Acura design language comes out. And it feels very close to sitting in something like even an MDX. So as we look, this particular car has this white interior. So it's very bright white. It's not like an off-white at all. It is very, very bright, but it's very nice because there's lots of contrast stitching inside. So like on the seats, there's lots of black contrast stitching against the white. Yet on the dash, you got lots of white contrast stitching against the black leather pieces. Even up here on Type S, you get extra contrast stitching on the hood, visor for the digital instrument cluster. So lots of premium touch points. That continues down on the steering wheel, which is it's kind of like a chunky steering wheel, but it's a really good size. Feels nice in your hands. There's perforations on the sides, and there's this kind of plastic light bar here, which we'll talk about what that does here in a second. But you have Type S badging down below, your audio controls, heated steering wheel control over here on the right, and then all of your cruise control functions on the left. There's also a paddle shifter back here, which is really for regenerative braking, but there's no like selectable levels to it. You kind of pull and hold to slow the vehicle down. So again, during the drive review, we'll show you how that works. As I look at the door linings though, there's like this nice aluminum material finish here. There's really good features as well. So on both the driver and the passenger, there's two-way memory seating. And that's really nice because both seats are 16-way power seats. So there's a lot of adjustability, including the lumbar, the thigh, the side bolsters, plenty of adjustability. The seats also say Type S in the headrest, and they have these kind of like suede inserts on certain pieces on the back and the bottom. So the seats look really nice. There's a lot of perforation because they are also 3-stage heated and ventilated seats for both the driver and passenger. So really, really nice seats and materials. Also, one of the things, I'm going to jump right into it. I'd save it for the end normally, but let's talk about the audio, because this is the first car for Acura that's launching their Bang & Olufsen new audio system. So it was custom designed for the ZDX, and it's pretty obvious the moment you step in. The cool thing about the audio system is it's actually standard. So even on that entry-level A-Spec trim, you get this 18-speaker 3D audio Bang & Olufsen system, and it sounds incredible. What's really cool is you like look up here on the A-pillars, the tweeter design is super unique. Now, again, Bang & Olufsen is a premium brand, and it's in other automakers' vehicles as well, but you can tell it was like specifically designed for Acura and ZDX. Like you've never seen this kind of tweeter design by them. So that's really nice. You also have the metal Bang & Olufsen speaker grills with the logos. So again, the speakers not only look good, but the sound system is amazing as well. One of the other things that I look across is like you got a lot of like premium features like an opening panoramic moonroof. So why don't I go ahead, I'll turn on the car. I'll go ahead, you push the brake. There is an actual power button like a normal vehicle here. We'll go ahead and turn off the, there we go, turn off the AC, and immediately your digital instrument cluster. It's an 11-inch screen. It lights up. It gives you all kinds of information. We'll talk a little bit more about the displays, but it's a really, really nice high-resolution display. Over here in the center, you got an 11.3-inch full-color touchscreen. It's very, very high resolution, and it's very, very fast, and it's super responsive. You pretty much can just swipe through. And the good thing is that there's a lot of different features. So not only is there wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, this also has Google built in. And if you've seen some of our other videos, we might have talked about it, but just to give you a quick overview, so Google built in is essentially 3 apps. It means you have Google Maps built into the vehicle. So even if you don't have your phone, Google Maps is the navigation. It's also the Google Play Store, which means you can go through and download apps over the air, further update your system in the future. So that's really nice. And it's also the Google Assistant. So you can have it say all kinds of functionality. There's an icon here that you can click to bring it up. There's also a voice key here on the steering wheel that you can bring it up. Or you could simply say things like, hey Google, can you turn on the AC?
Got it. Turning on the AC.
And just like that, it's very fast and responsive. So go ahead and turn that off. So that's the nice thing, is that Google built-in truly is built in. It does a lot of different commands. It's super fast as well. So that's really nice. And there's also, you know, despite this being a touchscreen, there's a volume knob here, a power button here. And one of the things that I really like is that these HVAC controls, they're all hard key buttons. There's all these like, you know, dials for the tri-zone climate control. So that's really, really nice. At the same time, in the color touchscreen, you can actually adjust climate there too. So you kind of get to do it both ways. I like that there's options. There's good connectivity in here. There's two USB-C ports here, a 12-volt socket, this kind of big tray that really, it's just a tray. It's rubberized though, and it's nice because things don't like slide around, which is good. There's two huge cup holders here, and then there's this like pocket type wireless charge pad. So you can literally just drop your phone in there, and it's nice because it keeps your phone exposed. So if you did need to glance down, you could see if you got a notification, but it works really well. And then this is kind of like this floating console design. So down below, you have this opening pass-through as well. And this is huge. So you could easily fit like, you know, a small laptop, a small purse or bag down there. So there's some good functionality there as well. Inside, there's a pretty deep, you know, center console area here. So lots of storage. You have a traditional glove box here as well. So lots of usability. But again, as I look across, you know, some of the other premium features, let's talk about the opening panoramic moonroof. So one click of that, it opens all the way back. It's pretty wide. It's really nice. And like I said, it opens pretty far back. So even if you're sitting in the second row, you get a lot of light in. It also opens, which is really nice. And yeah, I know that's kind of standard on most vehicles, but you'd be surprised. A lot of electric vehicles go for this kind of fixed glass roof that can't open and doesn't have a power sunshade. So kudos for adding that feature in. I think that's really, really nice. So with that, I think we've covered most of the key features up front. Let's go ahead and hop in the second row to show you how much space is there. All right, guys, here we are in the second row of the ZDX Type S, and there is a ton of space back here. Now, again, this is only a 5-passenger mid-size SUV. There is no third row, but there is a lot of space back here, and part of that is the fact that this car has a super long wheelbase. It's like 121.8 inches in length, so it's like the wheelbase of an Odyssey, of like a minivan. So there's, what that means is the wheels are, you know, very much pushed out. You kind of have those short front and rear overhangs, but what that also does is really give you a lot of space here in the second row. So as I sit here, I mean, you can see that's my driver position where I would be sitting. I have so much leg room in here, it's kind of ridiculous. I have a ton of headroom as well, tons of shoulder room. Like, you know, going across here, you could easily fit 3 people, 3 adults, full adults back here, no problem. In fact, this like center seat here in the middle, it's kind of like recessed. It's like lower down. So I think they did that, you know, knowing that you have the opening panoramic moonroof. So it'll give that passenger sitting in the middle just a little bit more extra headspace. Here in the middle, you can pull this down. It's very nice, you know, kind of armrests, cup holders. The headrest slides up. So no problem fitting 3 adults back here. You still get the same premium materials that you got up front. In fact, you get this nice you know, aluminum Bang & Olufsen speaker back here, the aluminum trim. I didn't talk about the ambient lighting, but there's ambient lighting throughout the vehicle. It's actually 26 different like combinations of colors that you can do. It's all along the doors and the dash itself. So at night, the interior looks really, really nice. You also look up and there's 4 Bang & Olufsen speakers in the headliner as well. So you see those when you look up in the second row. You do get these kind of pull type sunshades in the rear. They are manual, but at least you have them. You got 2 matte pockets back here. And like I said, it's a full tri-zone climate system. So the people in the back can adjust all the controls. The rear outboard seats are also 3-stage heated seats as well. You've got 2 USB-C charging ports back here. And if I flip this lid up, you have a full like socket, right? You could actually like plug in a laptop back here. So there's lots of connectivity and functionality. I also like that the floor is flat across the way there too. So, I mean, again, this second row seating is really, really good. And just for demonstration, I do have a booster seat back here, so you can see how much space that takes up. It's really easy to get to the child latches. They just are plastic covers that pop up. It's really easy to set this up, and you can see again how much space you know, your children might have in the second row. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about the cargo space. All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk about the cargo space of the ZDX Type S. Now, before I do, there was one thing, and I forgot to cover this in the interior, was this extra camera that's up here on this spoiler. What that is that's for the digital rear view mirror camera. It's really nice because you have your traditional rear view mirror, but with the flip of the switch, activates this camera, and then you get a completely unobstructed view of everything behind you. So I know there's some people that, they look at it and they're like, oh, I get sick, but I really like the feature, and it's great if you got someone sitting in the back or if you just want an expanded view of everything behind you. So next, let's go ahead and open it up so you can see the cargo space. Now, one of the key features for ZDX Type S is, of course, it has a power tailgate, but it also has the hands-free access. And I know sometimes it's always kind of cumbersome to kick under the vehicle and do it, but at night, you're not going to see it today right now with the light, but at night, what's really cool is there's a puddle light with the Acura caliper logo that like beams down on the ground. And it's there to show you exactly where you're supposed to kick to open up the rear tailgate. So we'll just do a quick kick underneath. And there you go. Actually worked, right? So it opens up. Now, inside, behind the second row, there is 28 cubic feet of space. So it's a pretty good size. It's not overly massive, but you can fold the seats down. And there are these kind of buttons here. Now, they're not power folding down, but essentially that does like a spring-loaded release. It's 60-40 split folding seats in the rear, but you can fold them down. And when you fold them down, it's around 60.8 cubic feet of space. So when you do that, you do get a lot more functionality. Here, though, you can actually lift up this kind of underfloor storage. There's not a ton of space back here, but you could maybe put like your charging cable set or something back here. So you get a little bit of extra space. So with that, let's go ahead and finally talk about this electrified powertrain. All right, guys, here we are with the powertrain of the ZDX Type S. Now, with this being an electric vehicle, and again, it was co-developed with General Motors, it uses the Ultium platform, which includes the batteries and the motors. And it's basically everything you can't see. Everything developed above that was developed by Acura, as they say. So, but let's talk about specifically the powertrain. So that battery, which is this big flatbed of batteries that this car sits on, it's a 102 kilowatt hour battery pack down there, and with the ZDX Type S, it only comes in this dual motor configuration. So you got one up front, one in the rear. Now, in this case, they have this huge kind of plastic cover here. It says Acura, which is nice, but you can't see the electric motors, and there is no frunk again, so there's nothing to store here. But let's talk about the power. So the ZDX Type S has very impressive stats. It produces 499 horsepower and 544 foot-pounds of torque, which Acura likes to brag is actually more torque than the NSX Type S supercar. So there's obviously lots of power there. And with it being an electrified powertrain, of course, you're gonna get all that power from just 0 RPM, right? Instant torque. So we're definitely gonna test that out in the drive section coming up. But let's also talk about charging, since it is an electric vehicle. We showed you the charge port earlier, the CCS. We talked about how NACS will eventually become available, and you can use that through an adapter. But charge times are actually competitive too. On the ZDX, you can get about 72 miles of range back in 10 minutes using a DC fast charger. And at full driving range, it shows about 278 miles of range. Now, if you go with the lower A-Spec dual motor or A-Spec single motor configuration, those trims actually have over 300 miles of range. So let us know your guys' thoughts down below. Is 300 miles of range enough for you in an EV? If waiting 30 minutes to go fully charged up, is that quick enough for you? Let us know your guys' thoughts down below. And with that, I'm excited to get behind the wheel. So let's go ahead, hop inside and take this thing for a drive. All right, guys, here we are inside the ZDX Type S, and we're about to take this thing for a drive. So with that, go ahead and put on my seatbelt, and we'll get this thing started up. So foot on the brake, power start button there. And yeah, I mean, it's gonna be pretty quiet. There's not gonna be any raucous exhaust going on this video, but yeah, the car is actually already on. Starts up instantaneously, and pretty much you can just get off and go for a drive. So there was a lot of things that we covered in the interior about all the features and technologies. So we'll try to cover a lot of it as well while we're driving, but also focus on just, again, the performance and some of the drive modes and stuff like that. So speaking of the drive modes, the buttons for that are actually off to the left here behind the steering wheel, and there's actually a whole array of buttons there, like the parking brake. There's a drive mode switch, there's the lane keeping assist, there's the brake hold function, there's even a switch to raise and lower the vehicle. So ZDX Type S comes with not only adaptive dampers, but a full air suspension setup. And you can actually feel the vehicle raise and lower, and you can control that manually with this toggle switch over here. It also changes given the drive mode that you're in. So first, let's go ahead and talk about the drive mode. So there's a normal mode. I guess we'll start in that. And again, as you toggle through here, you get some graphics on the center display, shows a picture of the ZDX, which is pretty nice. So we'll go ahead and start in normal mode. And now the ZDX doesn't have a traditional, push button style shifter. It actually uses this column style shifter. So again, if you've driven a Tesla or like a Mercedes electric vehicle, that won't feel so strange to you. But clearly, if you're coming from other Acura models, that will be a little bit of a departure. So foot on the brake, what you do is you pull it towards you and then push down to go into drive. You would do the opposite to go into reverse. You might have started to hear the sound effects. So what that is essentially a government regulation saying that vehicles like EVs that are super quiet, they need to produce some sound externally so that people walking around can actually hear you coming if they don't see you. So that sound effect kind of sounds like glowing angels. Like it only exists until about 25 miles an hour, and then it automatically cuts away. So it's there for that like kind of low speed pedestrian, just so that they know that you're coming. So with that, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So immediately, again, you just notice it's super quiet. You noticed again, being an EV, that it's just very instant, right, in its movements. You're not waiting for a transmission. You're not waiting for any of that stuff. So it's just pretty much up and go. And even in normal mode, this thing has plenty of power. It's very, very easy to get up to speed here. And in normal, like the steering, it's not overly light. It's actually a really good weight. It's even moving through this parking lot here, it's very easy to maneuver. The suspension, it's actually pretty good. It's not like overly floaty, and I didn't experience that either when I was driving this thing on the highway. So it's a really good balance between like sport and comfort. One of the things that's nice is, you do have regenerative braking, and they essentially have this setting, and you can actually put a shortcut here on the center display. So when you change it, it actually gives you a few different modes. So like in the center display, you can go to off. So you can actually turn off the kind of one pedal driving function. That's actually pretty nice. There's some EVs that don't let you do that, but once it's off, I mean, it's like driving, well, let's turn it off. It's like driving a normal car. Like, you basically have to use the brakes in order to stop. So, again, if that's what you're used to and you don't want to do one pedal driving, that's a great feature. After off, there's what's called a normal mode. And so what that does is it kicks in the one pedal driving, and it's pretty aggressive, honestly. It just takes a little bit to let up off the pedal to slowly bring the vehicle down. The thing about normal mode is if you're moving pretty fast and you let off, it may not bring you to a complete stop in time. So it does have kind of a more aggressive setting on lower speeds, and then it gets a little bit lighter on the high speeds. But there's another drive mode for the one pedal driving called high. Now, if you push this and drive in this, it'll bring you to a full stop almost in every case. I mean, unless you're doing some serious speed, it will completely bring you to a stop, and rather aggressively. So you do need to get used to driving under that situation. But it's nice that it's very easy to access through the center display, and you can change the drive modes pretty much at your will. So one of the other things I talked about is, so you've got this one pedal driving function, but you also have this regen paddle here on the steering wheel. And it's nice because, like, obviously you have the one pedal driving, so you can just let your foot off the accelerator pedal to slow down. But this like regen paddle essentially gives you an extra way to brake. And it's not like different levels like 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's like, you know, just as you start to pull it, it starts to slow the vehicle down. And again, if you hold this all the way down, it'll bring it to a full complete stop. So let's go ahead and try another drive mode. There's not a ton in here. So from normal, there's a snow mode. We won't try that one out. There is an individual mode that lets you like kind of piecemeal your certain settings. And then there is a sport mode. So I want to go straight into that. And immediately under sport mode, you're going to notice a couple things. One, you get kind of this little like spaceship type of sound. So there is an, you know, active sound control happening there. The steering gets a lot heavier. It's not horrible like it's like in the fact that it's way too heavy, but it's significantly heavier than the normal setting. And you also notice that the vehicle is a lot tauter. Like the suspension is very, very firm now. Again, not overly harsh. I'm still on some pretty smooth pavement here, but again, the contrast between normal and sport, that's the point I want to make, is it's pretty significant here. The other thing that Acura will tell you, you know, we talked about the powertrain and the power figures earlier, is that you really get the full unleash of all the torque and power in sport mode under wide open throttle acceleration. So we're gonna do that here once we come up to a stop sign, so you can kind of see me get flung back into the seats, because this thing does have a ton of power. And again, it's kind of unassuming. Some people don't know about this car yet. They may not know it's an EV. So a lot of times, you know, you get to a stoplight and there's that moment where they want to take off in front of you. And there haven't been many cars that I haven't been able to just blow by. I mean, this thing has actually got a lot of power, guys. But again, it's very controllable. And again, you know, if you just give it just a little bit of gas, I mean, all of a sudden it's 50 miles an hour, like nothing. Like it's ultra effortless acceleration. And again, that's the benefit of electrified vehicles. So here we go. We're gonna come up to a stop sign, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going 40. I'm gonna start to like let up here. The stop sign has just come into view, so I'm gonna let off the throttle, and it's gonna start braking for me. It's really aggressive. I mean, it got me down to 15 miles an hour just almost the moment I let off the accelerator pedal. So I'll let it bring me to a full complete stop. And then you'll see it engages auto hold, so the brake hold function. And now I'm gonna give it a full wide open throttle in sport mode so we can see how fast this goes. So get ready, here we go. So, geez, so yeah, I mean, it actually gets faster as you go 60, right? So it actually gets faster the more you get into it. And I obviously caught up to the cars in front of me. There's actually a Cybertruck right in front of me. So yeah, this thing is definitely fast. You know, the car is heavy, like a lot of EVs, so it's 6,000 pounds. It's a little bit over 6,000 pounds in this configuration. So there is a lot of weight, but it's a 50-50 weight distribution, and that weight is very down low, which gives you this like awesome center of gravity. So it has really, really sporty driving dynamics. You may not think of it, you know, in that case, because it's a, you know, mid-size SUV, but this thing is very sporty. So here's another blast. I'm gonna get up to the cars in front of me real quick. Oh yeah, I mean, the thing, 60. I mean, the thing about these EVs is, yeah, it gives you that feeling like you're on a roller coaster, right? Like it just like launches you forward. And honestly, again, I mean, it's great to have all this power, right? I mean, you almost got, you know, 544 foot-pounds of torque, right? I mean, that's a ton of acceleration, right? But honestly, I don't know how often I could keep flooring it like this. Like, I'm not one to get car sick or whatever, but just the gut feeling and you just getting sucked back into your seats, like it's a lot. I don't know if I could keep driving like that over and over. But hey, it's nice when you want to show off to your friends, or you want to, again, get to that stoplight race and see how things go. Because again, this thing is seriously quick. I don't know many cars that will beat you off the line. Like I said, you're gonna have like a plaid Tesla or something like really, really crazy. But other than that, I mean, this thing is really, really fast. But not only is it really fast, it's really quiet. Even when you're gaining speed, the NVH in this car is really good. And I found that to be true on the highway as well. Now, one of the last things I'll try to cover here in the drive review, I won't be able to actually show it because I'm not on a freeway, but this car comes with what Acura calls hands-free cruise. I'm actually going to go ahead and get in the lane over past the Cybertruck. We'll see if you guys can see it. The cool thing about this car is it has hands-free cruise. So essentially there's like a camera system that's monitoring you to make sure you stay awake. But when on certain roads and freeways, you can activate it and literally go hands-free. This plastic light bar that I was talking about earlier on the steering wheel, it actually turns green when it's active and the system is functioning. It can actually turn red and vibrate if it thinks like, hey, you're not paying attention, or you're going off a road where it's no longer capable of using this system. But when it works well. And not only does it do like hands-free driving altogether, it also has like automatic lane change, which is really cool because, oh god, there's that acceleration again. Yeah, when you actually are driving hands-free, you could just use the stalk to signal and it'll automatically change the lane for you, and it's seamless. It works really well. I know I myself am sometimes a little hesitant to trust these systems, but the hands-free cruise on the ZDX Type S is legit, and I can imagine on a really long road trip that being an awesome feature to have. So with that, I think I've covered a lot of the drive. Let us know down in the comments below, do you want to see the A-Spec trims on this channel? Do you want to see the single motor, the dual motor, or all of them? We'll try to bring it to you. That was the emergency brake warning, so it does have lots of safety as well. And so with that, again guys, thanks for watching. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. All right, guys, that's a wrap. What did you think of the 2024 Acura ZDX Type S? Does it have enough performance for you? What do you think of this new Acura electric design language? And what did you think of all the crazy features and technologies that are fully loaded on this ZDX Type S? Let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. And if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, we'll see you at the next episode.